Assalamu alaikum. Today is the 27th of the March, and we have to observe a lot of questions regarding the issues. When I just confine myself in the public issues, as I said that during the 26th of the March, I observed that the political anarchies, the raising populated issues of the Pakistan, when I observed that the PTI, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the anti-national activities of the same apparently posing in the public sector during the day of the 25th of the March. And what we were observing in the global television telecasting shows that they are saying, claiming openly in the public sector that their governance is not operative. That is a question which should have been digested by the Republicans. But when we just confined the next move to understand that what would be the point of living in the Middle East if the applied governance itself is fine in confined in fighting about the known resolutions of the observations of the optimal issues of the Pakistan. Thereafter, the solution which are based on the human based questions in the Pakistan appearing to be nullified in the totality. The public disabilities and the public reformative sections and the channels of the reformative modes of assessment. When I said that the reformative modes of assessment to the individual, it means that the culture of practicing the individualism in the shape value of the gross negligence of the prior generations would be upheld to the uh, concurrent generations within the Pakistan or in the Middle East. This is an operative question which should be observed by either of us under our sweet discretions. Whereof another elementary question takes stand here that when we observe the suits for declaration, suits for declaration or declaratory suits in the civil court, subordinate courts, original jurisdiction of the civil court, likewise High Court, and the Supreme Court, the appellate courts. So the questions always rotate within the courts on a document on a sheet. When I just configured that, what is the definition of a document? According to the General Clauses Act 1877, that any written form expressed value thing is a document. Any scripture, any written form, anything which is in the written form would be considered as a document. And this precedent in the custom would lead us in the troubles. Thereafter, we are not in the position to understand what is the status of the occupied Kashmir. When I just repel myself that why and how we can confine our services under any panels of the judicial observations or in the civil uh, areas of working, that the moderate lines of the incomes and expenses is not a point. The point is how much we can devote our times to the public services to reform the best sort of informations to the same, so that our upcoming generation would render their self into the prerogative in interest of their self despite of their relatives in gross inventories. The customs were in the existence that the political anarchy under the battle lines of the future of the public. The question which is based on the same line, that the raising population of the females, the adjudications of the cases of the females, the upcoming generations of the females and the deferred females, the incurred amount of the females through the bankruptcy. If a female is married, this question is a leading landmark question. If a female is married, during the pendency of any suit, civil suit, criminal suit, or a police status active transaction. Thereafter, what comes the next? That she is married to the person of wrong side, according to her. But when we observe the next version of the person in personam capacity of the same, likewise her husband, he claims that she is in the capacitated issues, that she is not willing to lead a life with him, and she is having a lot of affairs under the defection areas. I'm just portraying an example for the better understanding of the Republicans. So the precedent in custom from the year 2016 to onwards in Pakistan, leading likewise, the females are trying to convince their lovers at first sight that the said females are only subjected with the males, and the questions of the modesty of the parents of the said male are under the discretion of the Allah. And thereafter, what comes the next before us as a Muslim or civil society, that the discrepant behaviors among the institutions over the part of such vagabond approved criminals, likewise the vagabond marital issues, the vagabond status of unmarried couples, and having a lot of dispatched marriages. There is a difference between dispatched marriages and patched marriages. We never understood that patched marriages and dispatched marriages in Pakistan, patches of marriages as well. These are some new terms which are being invented by myself as per my observing the informations of the laws. Therefore, when I just configure a lot of the intellectual issues, likewise the intellectual property of mind, that why the ordinary and the extraordinary individuals resident in occupations and the commercial activities are also found in the extramarital affairs. This is a very dangerous term in Pakistan, that extramarital affairs in Pakistan. And everything rotates during the pendency of the extramarital status. And I have figured those cases as well, that after evaluations of the females production, the males in Pakistan, this is the second crime over the part of parcels of the men dominance. I'm not saying that the males are bad here. I'm saying that the men dominance, because it is a mandatory under obligation of the Muslims Ummah of this century that we have to devote ourselves to understand that why the Muslim Ummah is not considering the females above average. They are considering the females below the belt in order to beat the drums of their modesty in the public sectors, and the said females are always in the hue and cry, and therefore we are never conversant to ourselves to devote a time-based solutions for the females uh, issues, to resolve their issues. Now hereafter, when we observe the political anarchy in Pakistan, the secondary phase is that the old migrated females are suffering from the a lot of intellectual issues, as well the food issues as well, and the said females which are old and infirm and sick. Such females want to live a life under the so many questions. The said females want to have the dictations of ultimate dissolutions of the marriages as well. The dissolution of the marriages over the part of the old, infirm, sick ladies, apparently posing to be the part of their uh, huge properties. But when we consider the said property would not be sold out, because out of the bankruptcy in the Pakistan is raising as well. So, as a Pakistani, we have to devote ourselves in order to understand that what is being done in our society, that the Muslims and the civil society and the other reciprocating sectarian hate, these three elements continuity of the same depicting in the public sector, and we are not in the habit of considering that what should have been done with everyone around us. This is my personal perception about the presumptive rights of the Pakistani. That under the presumption of doubt, we are considering the things to be done. But during the dilemma of the modern society, we need to understand the baseline solutions to the questions in interest, to the relations in ad litem, or relations in interest as well. The reciprocity of the media channels, they are selling the foolish activities, the media foolish activities over the active transactions over their followers, and the followers are very deadly into the watching such serials, that we are not realistic kind of individuals resident in the Middle East, that especially in the Pakistan, that we and India as well. When I raised the question that the Azad Jammu and Kashmir and the Indian occupied, what is the difference between the Azad Jammu and Kashmir and Indian occupied Kashmir? Why I had raised this question, that the Azad Jammu and Kashmir and Indian occupied Kashmir. Azad Jammu and Kashmir is a property, would be considered as the Pakistani property, and we know that because we have the developed or constructed a lot of things there. But on the contrast, the occupied Indian Kashmir is merging or is merged, has been merged with the Indian states, and through the merger of the articles in the Constitution of the India 1949 and in Constitution of India Article 372 to upwards. If we read or interpret the article 370 and 72 to upwards, thereafter we come forward in breaking down those articles, that they have exceeded such populated or non-populated areas or in populated areas into the diversities of the Kashmir into Indian states, because they claim in the international union councils of interest that they have the sole element and they have the sole ownership, and they have about to prove this fact. And during that pendency, I just want to remember you that it was the PTI governance. It was not the governance of either of the party which are in the interim governments right now. The question which we are facing right now is not the imposters of the prior governance, the Republicans, and after not having the credible resolutions of the occupied Indian occupied Kashmir from Indian states, we are not into the habit of adaptations to the recognizing the that the occupied Kashmir is the part of Pakistan. We claim it, but the question is that the Indians, over the contrast, enemies are drastically in separated in the Pakistani state in order to collect the data of the highly intellectual individuals to just to kill or to murder them, because the Indians are very merciless in order to have the property or the issues, because they have no humanity. The barbaric actions of the Modi government, we have observed all of the swings of him in the arrays of the alleys of negligence in the Bihar and the other Uttar Pradesh as well. My question takes stand that if the applied governance of the Indian state during a person which have no ancestor or no person of his you can claim that he's a person of wisdom, and there is no clerical staff who can guide him that he is doing all bad eventualities to the Indian state as well. The concept beside that, the India is basically not a conceptual state. I claim it. Beside my rule of precedence is that the India always rule through the failures of the others. They just sell the things in the right moment. They invest the selling of the words, selling of the moments, selling of the labor in low rates in whole of the globe. And after evaluation of the interest from the low leverage of working in the whole of the globe, the Indians, their monetary funds in their state bank always raised. This is the reason that their capital in their gross inventories always have been in the better position than a Pakistani, because a Pakistani always rotate his capital in interest. Likewise in Ramzan, we always surrender our capital interest in a proportional income or expenses to the lower middle class so that they can lead a good life for exemplary leading questions for the rest of the same siblings or family of the subjected lives. But on the contrast, the Indians are not like that. They don't have to fast. They don't have to rotate or surrender their capitals in interest to the other parties, to the other Muslims, to the other Indians as well. They don't have the zakat. They don't follow zakat. These are the primary deficit issues in the Indians which lead them into the barbaric actions. And during the Muslim rituals or Muslim customs, Muslim customary precedents, what comes the next is the anti-terrorism activities would always be on the part of the Indians in the India and in the subordinate subversion points of the marine lines and the other countries as well. And when we just crossly study with the parent position of having a dead slow mind, that what is being continued in the Pakistan, that the uh, Pakistan these days represent a low self-esteem among the other institutions over the part and parcels of the political parties, not over the part and parcels of the bureaucrats. I claim it. The question is that beside all these resolutions under the restoration economic resolution order under my desperation of information to restore the same in the better positions for the better half of our generations which are going ahead or not in the point of line of understanding to their working domains for their self. When we were in the better positions to observe the better lines for the better confined areas of working, therefore we can invent the things, we can create or draft the items. But we are into the habit of adaptations of not raising our self-esteem into the diversity of the resolutions of the solutions or the solutions of uh, the century. We are into the habit of just negating to everything which comes before us, and after that we just negate ourselves. And meanwhile what comes the next is that we do not value anything and the valuable things do not value us. This circle never stop, and we just claim that the civil society or the civic society or the other reciprocating society are about to beat or are about to be a point of a disgrace to our modesty and the natural justice. So stay blessed. This is Advanced Comparative Advocate Gulrez Ishwaq.